Hello. Welcome to a Novel Console Patreon episode, Games and Stuff. This week, I am joined by Thrak and Burger Champ, two forced new members, members once and always from a Novel Console, even if they don't want to be, they're part of the family. How are you doing, guys?
Did you just come up with that?
Yeah, I just came up with that. I wrote nothing.
That's okay.
My brain is mush again.
Neither did I. But I'm good. How are you?
I'm tired. Champ, you said good?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm ready for the weekend, but we're dog sitting for my sister, so I've got a less than 1 year old pit mix puppy here right now.
Oh, that's adorable.
Is she on your lap right
one
now?
Of those...
The one of what?
Is she on your lap right now?
No, she's sitting with my daughter on the couch. My daughter has gotten into South Park now, so she's starting that from the beginning.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's great. That's so much fun. Is the dog one of those big head having pit bulls, or is it one of the normal?
Not really. Ones? I will post a picture in the Discord of the dog. A couple of pictures here. You can see that she's not...
Well, all right. So, yeah, we're talking Gears of War Judgment. The worst Gears of War. It was released in North America on March 19th, 2013. It was developed by People Can Fly and Epic Games, and it was published by Microsoft for the Xbox 360. So that's the version we played on our Series X.
You say it's the worst, but we haven't played them all yet.
I can guarantee that this is the worst. I gave this game a 6.
Me too. Champ, what'd you give it?
6 sounds about right. I mean, I've only played the first one and some of the second one. And to me, the first one's really not much more than a 6.5 or a 7 also. But because it's very much the basic idea. The little bit I played of the second one is like a huge step forward from the first one.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But, you know, this game isn't awful. I mean, it would be awful playing it by yourself for sure.
It definitely feels like the co-op is the way to go, which made it a more fun experience overall. Because, yeah, playing it single player, it probably would have been kind of lame, I guess.
Well, because it's not... It doesn't... The problem with this game is it tries to do too much. So you don't just get a Gears game. You get a Gears game with Horde mode in the middle of it. And then you get a Gears game with challenges, optional challenges thrown into every level. And you get a Gears game that's trying to do all the things that people liked about the previous Gears game, but just kind of jam them all together.
Do you think that was how they tried to justify it? Like, oh, this is a 4th Gears game on the 360. It's like, well, what's different about it this time? And so they had to find these different sort of stuff to throw in there to make it more fresh, I guess, compared to the other 3. When, like, they didn't need to do that. It could have just been, like, DLC for 3. In fact, the little campaign you unlock after you beat the campaign, it feels like 3 DLC almost.
It pretty much is, and it plays a whole lot better than the base game. It actually has, like, a flow to it. It's not just arena, move, arena, move, arena.
For sure.
And they neutered the whole Gears gameplay when they took away having 3 weapons and a grenade on the D-pad. I don't know what the D-pad is used for now, because I can't select grenades there, and I can't select my different guns. You have to press Y, is it? The top button would be triangle on PlayStation to swap weapons.
Yeah, Y.
And the
we're
weapons,
playing Xbox.
Yeah, well, I'm still not. I'm still not learning the controls, and I'm looking at the Steam Deck, so I don't have my Xbox controller, so I don't know what buttons to press.
Aren't they the same buttons?
Are they?
Steam and Xbox? I'm pretty sure.
Y at the top, X on the left, B on the right, and A on the bottom.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So that's an Xbox controller?
Basically. Huh. I think a Dreamcast controller as well.
And with the Switch, you switch the A and B and the X and Y.
Right. Oh.
You might be surprised to know that this game got a 79 on Metacritic.
Why? That's almost a B.
Maybe
This
because
also was a full price game.
Ugh.
released like right before the Xbox One came out too.
IGN gave it 9.2 out of 10.
What?
Though
The same people that said 6 out of 10 too much water gave it a 9.2 out of 10.
Let's see. It was also the third highest selling game in 2013.
13.
No, that can't be right. It's
Well, it came out in 2013. Like right before the
Gears of War 3 was the third highest selling game in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Behind BioShock Infinite and Tomb Raider.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, Judgment only sold 1 million copies by August 2013, and it came out in March. So it wasn't even that successful. And if you're going by the Metacritic for Judgment, they got a 79. For reference, Gears of War 1 got a 94, Gears of War 2 got a 93, and Gears of War 3 got a 91. They all hit the 90s.
Yeah.
Which is, so it is a considerable drop-off.
But how did they go down? Because don't they just get better from 1 onwards? Isn't like 3 like the best feeling one until 4?
I agree, but I think the issue that the Gears series has as far as longevity goes, from what I've researched, is people just think it's more of the same and that it doesn't innovate enough, which I'm not quite sure what they necessarily want from Gears to, like, quote-unquote innovate. But
Well, Gears 1 was an innovator at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because there wasn't a whole lot like it when it came out.
Yeah, it was
So
very
that's why I got
groundbreaking.
such a high score. But I can see where, I mean, I haven't played 3, but I can see where 2 is a refined version, but it is mostly more of the same that you get in 1. Take cover, shoot dudes, move forward. Take cover, shoot dudes, move forward.
And unless you care about the story and the characters, it doesn't offer more beyond that, But
Speaking of story, does anybody know the story of Judgment?
it's a court.
What the fuck was going
It's a
on?
court drama. It's like Phoenix Wright.
That.
It's Phoenix Wright with guns.
So it's all done in testimony at a court martial. So they're giving testimony. There's 4 chapters. Each character of the 4 gives their testimony, and then the testimony is played out as you play the game. So it's all a flashback.
Yeah,
Well,
because
to a
So it's all
point.
inconsequential.
The 4th chapter is not a flashback, right?
no, because that's when it comes to
No.
that's when it comes to present time, and
Right.
that's when
And I
the
thought the
locusts
4th
attack
chapter
the
is when
courthouse.
they get attacked,
Mhm.
and that's not a flashback. That's moving forward.
And Sinestro saves us.
Yeah, and you can save us,
Basically.
Sinestro.
Yeah, like
Right.
I think the whole plot is that, like, you're being put on trial because you disobeyed orders, which it was you were hunting down that one locust general that you fight at the end. And then you stumble upon that rocket that's like, oh, we could kill him with that. And they're like, no, don't do that. We don't want you to do that. But then Baird's like, well, fuck you, I'm just going to do it anyway. And then they shoot it off, and then that's what they get in trouble for. And then, but it doesn't kill the locust general. It misses, I think. So he invades the courthouse conveniently, and then you fight all of his minions, and then you kill him, and that's the game.
I feel like this game was just a cash grab. The story doesn't do anything to move the plot forward, and I don't care about anything that happened in this game. There was an excessive amount of boomers in this game, which I think they had it out for champ because for some reason they kept like circling him, like trying to get on
It
top of
was
him and take him
revenge for all the
down.
headshots.
He was
Yeah,
headshotting
because
like
you got
crazy.
rid of your Lancer. You got rid of the Lancer and got that semi-automatic sniper rifle, and you were just going to town on them with that.
I feel like there's a very limited amount of weapons in this game as well. Um, I mean, you got a Lancer and a Retro Lancer, a couple of shotguns, and a couple of long range guns, and that's kind of it.
Because in
There's a
the other
pistol, maybe.
I mean, but that's
because
also
in the other Gears games you get like the torque bow. You get
Oh, the
like
torque
different.
bow
You
was
get
in
different.
this.
Okay, it didn't show up
yeah.
till much later
I
though.
just feel like the weapon
Yeah.
frequency was maybe skewed in this one. Like we weren't seeing a lot of the non-Lancer, non-boom shot weapons as often.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I know Chris, when we were playing the first three, there was a lot more frequency. Like you would get the torque bow. Like so I think in Judgment you can't pick up the torque bow till much later in the game. Um, and then yeah, like say like the sniper rifles because I know one thing that this game did that was really dumb, and unfortunately Gears of War 4 kind of has the same issue, and that's when you progress, like you have like cutscene chapter progressions, it swaps everybody's weapons. So like, because I know
Yeah.
you guys had like the snipers and everything, and I always had a Lancer and a Asher shotgun. That's what I always go with. And then every once in a while, it would just go to a new area, and you'd have a completely new set of weapons. And all it would do is just frustrate you guys because you'd just be like, "Well, I gotta go find it again." And
Yeah.
I don't know why they
But
did that.
to me, it was especially annoying when I would have, my long shot and my Lancer, and I would be running low on bullets for the long shot, so I would be using the Lancer. A cutscene would happen, and they would take my fucking Lancer away.
Hmm.
Like, why are you taking out the main gun away? Why don't you just take the long shot? Because I can, as much as I love it, I can deal without it.
It's almost as if the story is trying to dictate what type of like weapons your characters would have, and that's why they would like I guess swap them. But even still, it doesn't.
Or
But even still, it doesn't make any sense because most of the cutscenes you're not using the weapons, and if they were, they would be using like a
or
Lancer. So why would they take away your Lancer?
what if they were striking them from the record? Like the judge would ask, and he was using a Lancer. No, he was using a what's the big one that the Locust used?
The Hammerburst.
That's crappy. The Hammerburst. No, he was using a Hammerburst. Oh, but where'd he get it? I don't know. Next chapter, he has the Lancer, but he also has an Asher. Why? Because there weren't any fucking long shots on the path that they were walking. We didn't put any cash drops with long shots there.
Yeah,
So maybe if they were like, striking shit from the record at court, I would understand that. But other than that, no.
yeah. It just
Just
it just felt like arbitrary BS because all it did was frustrate both of you. Because I remember, like Burger, you had that really nice sniper, and then the game takes it away from you, and you spent a good while looking for it until we eventually
Yeah, like
found it.
section after section.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
it was just again, it didn't make any sense. Like with Gears 4, not to jump the gun too much, they do that a little bit, but not nearly as much. And they do kind of build up when you acquire, say, certain weapons within the game. There's kind of like reasons for it, I guess. But in Judgment, there's not really any reason for it. They're just like, you can't have that anymore because we say so.
Now, I will say,
it's kind of
things that this game did right. I do feel like, especially in the areas where you're horde moding and stuff, I never felt like we were confined or running out of space or didn't have enough cover. Like the areas are nice and open. They do give you time between rounds to maybe set up turrets, set up some traps or something here and there. And those areas were designed pretty well.
Yeah.
Even if sometimes it could get it to be a little difficult to figure out which direction the enemies were coming from as a whole, I never felt like we were like running into each other or having like stuck in really confined spaces or being pinned down by an enemy in a specific spot. So those were designed pretty well, those areas.
It's
But-
why
but-
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's why I think like this game was made with like co-op multiplayer
Mhm.
like as the main focus. Because I couldn't imagine doing the horde mode with the AI teammates. I don't think it would have been done very well. But having the three of us do
Although,
it, where like say like
if
I would go to like the left, and then Burger would like or Chris would go to the right, and then Burger would stay in the back popping headshots. It made perfect sense.
Mhm. And if we had had a fourth
although it,
person, those sections would have been super easy.
Oh yeah,
I do feel like playing with AI would be fine, just if you were just the one that's taking down all the enemies and all they do is heal you. Because that one dude that was AI, he was reviving us left and right. The only time he failed is when we got murdered.
yeah. He was very helpful with that,
Yeah, he was just a medic,
basically.
basically.
Yeah,
Because there were so many times we'd just be shooting, and then one of us would go down, and then it's like, oh, let me run over to you, and then like you're almost there, and it's like, oh, he just got me. Like, what was his name?
yeah.
I forget. It started with a P, I think.
Polnick, something like that.
I don't know. We said it a lot because we were calling for the dude every time we went down. So
Yeah,
Paddock.
Paddock.
Garen Paddock. It's
okay.
his government
Well,
name.
Now I will say to
was close.
contrast that, one thing I thought really didn't work is the pacing in this game is all over the place.
Yes.
Some levels are 25 minutes long. Some levels are literally 2 rooms, and you kill 12 enemies and you're done with a section.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can tell that this is the first Gears game Cliff Bleszinski wasn't there for.
Well, and this is the I think this team, People Can Fly, which was started by Cliff Bleszinski.
Was it?
Yeah, because he was involved in Bulletstorm.
Mm-hmm. But I think
he was-
I think they.
Bulletstorm is so good.
But I think they existed before he joined. I think it was.
Well, they're the ones that made like the Hellbringer games back in the day.
Yeah.
But they're also the team that ported the original Gears to PC. And I think that's why they got put on this. Bulletstorm was before this.
Yeah, that was 2011, I think.
Yeah, Hellbringer was before this. And Bulletstorm is great.
Oh,
If
love
it
Bulletstorm.
had if it had co-op, that would be like a perfect game on the 360.
I'm surprised that it didn't have co-op.
It did have co-op
Because-
in like the kind of horde mode. It wasn't really a horde mode.
The multiplayer.
Yeah, the multiplayer was just kind
Yeah.
of challenge levels, where you
Yeah.
were trying to outscore the other person, like Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
But if it had co-op campaign, that game would have been. No one would have ever stopped playing it. They would have gotten like 5 sequels by now.
Probably.
I'm surprised it didn't, because from what I remember, you always have a partner in the game.
You do,
You're never
yeah.
alone. You either have Ishii or you have the lady with you the entire time. So they really should have put co-op campaign in that game. That would have made it so much better.
Cliff was slipping by that point.
It's the Just Cause syndrome, where like you got a game that's perfect for co-op. They just never added it.
And now
You know which
people
one
can
had co-op that was perfect for it? Saints Row 4 had co-op.
Oh,
I played
really?
a lot of co-op of that.
That game
3 and
sounds
4.
that game sounds fantastic in co-op.
It's so fucking good.
I'm a,
Even single player is great.
It is great.
Yeah.
I love 3 the most. I think.
I like 3 more. I like 3 the most because it's silly, but it's not too silly.
The way I played it was ultimately silly. Like,
Yeah,
once
but
you get leveled all the way up, you are invincible. You can jump off buildings, land on the ground. Like, it's great.
Oh yeah, but like with 4, my always issue with it is that it was just so over the top. It just felt like they ran out of ideas and were just doing the dumbest shit they could think of.
They went for an edgier thing for sure. With
Yeah.
like the RPG where you play as a toilet at one point, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
my biggest problem with 4 is that it's just gray all the time, and it's the same map as 3.
Yeah.
But I'll say that the little DLC, Get Out of Hell for 4 is fantastic.
That's a good one.
It is pretty good.
fantastic.
That's a very
It's a
good one.
musical
Yeah.
for one, and it's great.
it's a shame they couldn't keep the series going after that because they did
That last one,
because Agents of Mayhem was
Well,
I think
and
like a
that-
spin-off.
that newer one
Is
was
bad.
not great.
Yeah, because I think they tried.
I gave it a 6.
So I think they tried.
It felt like a PS3 game the entire time. Like it wasn't awful. It just felt dated as
It's
fuck.
clunky, and I'm going to tell you, the writing was
It's
some
terrible.
terrible stuff in that newer one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's what they think millennials are like.
Yeah, your roommates are irritating in that game.
I did like Kev. Kev was a good hippie.
I didn't hate Agents of Mayhem, but it is definitely one of those games that is always $3. You know,
yeah.
With all the DLC.
but it's real repetitive. It's like Crackdown without all the fun stuff.
Crackdown's fun.
I love Crackdown.
Crackdown's not bad.
Crackdown is another game that's
I
really
hated the
fun
first
co-op.
Yeah, I mean the first wasn't all 3 of them are free, basically.
Yeah,
because the
on
first 2 you
Xbox.
can just get for free, and then 3's on Game Pass. So
I did not like 2 very much. 3 was fine, but 1 I spent a lot of time co-oping in that game.
I did play some 1 back in the day. And I had some fun with it.
You know,
You have to get leveled
I
up
really
before it
like-
gets really fun,
Yeah,
but
I really like the shooting system in Saints Row.
yeah.
Especially in 4. I feel like the shooting is just so much fun. And I got Agents of Mayhem just specifically because it's just shooting the entire time. I haven't played it yet, but I don't think I would get tired of just shooting in that game.
The thing that they added to Saints Row in 3 that really made the series for me, because I liked 1 and 2. They're fine. They feel like GTA clones, 2 a little less than 1.
yeah.
But 3 added the awesome button. It's literally just called the awesome button. It makes you sprint, but if you hit somebody with it, you do wrestling moves instead. If you steal a car, you jump through the window and take it. You're like,
Yep.
it just makes everything you do more awesome.
They found a good formula with 3, and it's just a shame they didn't do they couldn't keep that going.
Well, there was a lot of
I-
THQ falling apart had a lot to do with that
that is
at
true.
that time.
Wasn't that around that time too?
Mm-hmm.
Because wasn't that around the same time where they released Darksiders 2?
I think so.
Yes, and then Darksiders got bought up by what is now THQ Nordic, but then was Deep Silver, I guess.
But Deep Silver still exists.
They do, but it's all under the umbrella because I think Embracer Group bought all of that, right?
Oh God.
Um,
Embracer
no
Group's
shit.
in some shit right now.
But they made 2 more Darksiders games. That weird twin
Oh,
stick one.
There's
And the Dark Souls one.
Darksiders,
Darksiders
3,
3.
and then Darksiders, was it Genesis?
Genesis, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a twin stick shooter.
That's a series I'm probably never gonna go back to. I didn't like 1 as much as people did. I really liked 2, but I feel like it was a bit too long, and I felt like the horse didn't move fast enough.
I haven't gotten to 2, but I
And then-
enjoyed 1. It's like a truncated Zelda experience.
Yeah,
Like it's
I
all
own
the
them all
good
out.
parts about the dungeons without all the bullshit empty world in between them. It's like a hub and you just go to a dungeon, and that's it.
I own them all. I just haven't played them yet.
2 is pretty good. It just goes on for way too long. They should have cut that game in half, and it would have been perfectly fine. Because you play as Death, and the game kind of has the same equipment system as the new Assassin's Creed games, so you keep getting constant new armors and new weapons and
Oh,
stuff.
like all the loot and shit.
Yeah,
Boo.
and it's kind of like Prince of Persia as well. It's a very good game, but
Back to Gears. Unless we have, do we have anything else to say about Judgment?
I mean, I don't think it's as
Yeah.
good as the first one, which is most of my experience with Gears. But I don't think it's a bad game to sit down and just co-op out for a couple nights. Like just literally just shoot stuff and chit chat. It's not a bad game for that. There are way worse games for that.
It was an underwhelming experience. Like coming off of the Gears trilogy, which told a really good story, and they improved with each installment, in our opinion. Coming to Judgment, it's like it almost comes off as a spin-off, and yeah, it just doesn't have that same sort of like refined control or really tight game design that the first three had. And I think making
And the AI is fucking stupid.
yes, and I think making a game with Baird and Cole as the main protagonists didn't really work.
They, sh- they should have focused on Cole instead of Baird because Cole is a much better character than Baird.
Yeah, yeah. Or if anything, they could have made this game like say a prequel with Dom, and you sort of like if you want to do a more single player game, you could have like Dom and sort of his journey to get like Marcus out of prison. Say he has like a whole adventure trying to free Marcus. I think more people would have been
I would
into
have been
that.
fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people have been asking for a Pendulum Wars game forever,
Yeah. Yeah, why
I,
don't they do
and I
that?
don't think that's going to happen.
I think well, I think they should do an RTS of the Pendulum Wars. I think that would make the most sense. Like instead of doing individual characters, like you're moving units and fighting an
Yeah.
actual war. Although I suppose you're going to lose from from the get go. So
Yeah. So, so we were playing. We started 4, and the way that 4 is set up, it basically said, "Oh, the coalition was always bad, but it was the strongest faction, so everybody just went under the coalition wing, the coalition's wings to fight the locust when they emerged."
Yeah, I think so.
Uh,
Because like you play as the rebels or like a little group of rebels, but like where we are in the game, it's not clearly defined why we're rebels and why the cog are trying to like go after us. Like they're keeping all that stuff like pretty, tight-lipped.
yeah. But hey, we found the locust. Took us a while, but
Yeah.
we found them.
But we can say Gears 4 better than Judgment.
Oh yeah,
Easy.
I'm
yeah.
sure.
That it, and it's a short game,
We're
so
already
it's
halfway
a
done. We
really
played it once
yeah,
for like a couple hours
for
and
2 hours.
yeah, we're already halfway
For
done.
like 2 hours.
So, it'll be a quick one.
Yeah, uh, but I didn't expect. So I heard a lot that Judgment wasn't good, and I'm like, how bad can it be? It's still Gears of War gameplay. It's still the same fun shooting and everything. And then we started playing, and I'm like, this is how it's not fun. Like the changes that they made to it are terrible. And the enemy AI is fucking god awful because Burger Chimp had a bunch of times where a locust would just be standing next to him as he would be shooting his friends' heads off.
Just staring at me.
And then and then it would just melee attack him once and just keep staring at him. Like we would turn around and there's just like this fucking locust just looking at him.
And then there would be moments in like say the horde mode where we would just be stuck. Like there was that one, it was like on the rooftop. We had to do that quite a few times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just because we kept getting like just bullshit, which would just
So
happen.
we just get
would
bum
get
rush.
to like
Yeah, basically.
yeah. We would get through the first 2 waves no problem, and like the third one, once those fuckers on top of the fucking locust horses started popping up, that's when we got fucked.
Now I will say, in the game's defense too, if you want to play this and just shoot with your friends, it's not a broken game. It's not glitchy. It's not constantly dropping you out. It's not constantly it's a finished product. It's not a broken game mechanically. Like you don't have a bunch of glitches. People aren't falling through the ground. So
And it still plays like Gears, which Gears is fun. Like you either like Gears or you don't. The cover-based third-person shooter thing. I think Gears does it better than most of them. And
Yeah.
even if it's not your cup of tea, I think the way it manages the cover-based shooting mechanics is still done like pretty well. And yeah, when it was like really fun, we were having a fun time. Um, and it's still Gears, so it's not terrible. You could be playing a lot worse games than Gears Judgment, but when you compare it to the first three, which were an incline, this just feels like a weird misstep, and that they were doing it just because they wanted to get more Gears money, I guess.
right. I mean, but I guess if you've played them all and you just want more Gears, and you have a co-op group and you just want to play more Gears, this isn't a fundamentally broken game. I mean, you can have a good time just shoot. Even if you just played it on easy or whatever.
Wasn't there like a whole section where it was like going up a building and then going back down the building, and there were like snipers all over the place, and that was fun.
That was fun.
I wish
Taking out the snipers was fun. And actually,
I
was that part of that, or was that part of that little side campaign, the Aftermath?
that was the Aftermath
Because
campaign.
Aftermath was good, like
Aftermath was
genuinely
actually
good.
fun.
Yes, that was really good.
Like,
that was fun.
It felt removed. It felt like when they finished Judgment, they were like, "Oh, this game's like way too short." Because it took us maybe 6 hours to finish the whole thing, maybe a little more, a little
maybe.
less.
Took a 3 play session.
Yeah, 3 play sessions.
And
We
then-
played for a couple hours.
Yeah, and then we unlocked Aftermath, and Aftermath takes place in the middle of Gears, and I think
Aftermath
Gears
takes, like,
3.
Literally 30 minutes. The whole thing from top to bottom.
It almost feels like a deleted scene from Gears 3. That like it was meant to be in the game as like a little side thing, but they took it out, and then when they were working on Judgment, they're like, "Oh, we need more because this isn't enough." And then someone was like, "Oh, remember that thing we deleted? Let me drag the file over." Because it looks completely different. It controls different. Like the pacing is different. Like you can tell that like Epic made that.
Mm-hmm.
And it flowed much better. So it's just so weird.
I mean, it doesn't even tell an important story because it just tells the story of how they found the boat that they used to get to the island in Gears 3.
Yeah, which is completely superfluous.
It's still fun, like that one set piece where you blow the building and you sail on the boat down a bunch of buildings onto the sea. That was fun.
Yeah, like if that was
As stupid as it was.
Yeah, if that was in Gears 3, it would have been like, oh, that weird like 30-minute bit where you played as Baird and Cole, but it was good, It wouldn't have felt out of place.
Now, I don't know the story of this game, but it kind of feels like the whole game should have been like DLC that got too big for Gears 3.
Yeah. And if anything, this whole game, the story feels completely inconsequential because it doesn't really play into much of what happens later. At least not from what I remember. Yeah. There might be little bits of like lore that pop up saying like Gears 1 or something, but like it doesn't explain like how Baird and Cole get to know Marcus and Dom. Or, sort of their role within, the coalition and why they're so important. It doesn't really do that. It just gives you a story centered on those characters because maybe people were asking for that. I can't imagine people wanting a story based on Baird because Baird's just kind of nothing, Yeah. He's the nerd. He's like if Donatello had no character, He's just the nerd.
Yeah. I don't even know where I want to go with this because it was fun to play, but as a Gears like material, it did nothing for me because I had this thing that I did back when I lived with my parents and I had disposable income, which was I would buy an Xbox every time a Gears of War game would come out. I would play the shit out of it, go really high on multiplayer. Once I got sick of it, I would sell the Xbox with the game and whatnot. And then when the next one would come out, I would do it all over again. Judgment was the one that I didn't do it for, and I'm glad that I didn't because I think that would have soured my love for the series.
Yeah. I mean, you should have just kept the Xbox the first time. But then it probably would have red ringed. But it probably would have red ringed on you, and you'd have had to get another one anyway.
Oh yeah. Shit, like my first Xbox, I played Fallout 3 for a 13-hour period straight. Like I only got up to go eat or go to the bathroom, but it was straight 13 hours. And the only reason I stopped is because it was like 3 a.m. and the Xbox was so hot that it stopped doing anything. So I had to wrap it in towels and put it in front of my AC unit so it would cool down. And it took like 3 days in front of the AC unit before I was able to play anything on it again because I would plug it in, start something, and it would just immediately freeze.
Yeah,
I got my first 360 was an Elite that I bought from a customer that was trading it in at GameStop, and I got it for $120 at the time. Like that was a really good deal. Because it had that 120 gig hard drive on it. You know,
Were the Elites slightly redesigned?
not really. They were just black.
I think so.
They were just
Okay.
black and
Really?
had the. They didn't start doing that like slimmer X design or whatever until the Slims.
Yeah,
That had the clip-on hard drive instead of the slide-on hard drive.
I don't know why. I thought the Elite. I thought maybe I'd read it at the time that people said, "Oh, the Elite. They made some slight hardware changes," because I think
Well-
that came out after the whole Red Ring thing became a big deal.
Well, no, because I got an Elite, and I specifically remember I was in the middle of playing Bully, and it was a Sunday morning, and
You were playing Bully instead of going to church?
I
What's
came
wrong with you?
downstairs
Bully
to play
is
it,
church.
and it wouldn't turn on, and I couldn't figure it out, and I looked down, and it's red ringed. You know,
Oh, in the middle of the game.
no, it just didn't start that morning. I had played it that night, turned it
Mhm.
off, came down that morning, it didn't start. So, I mean, I sent it back and got it back within like 6 days. Like, it didn't take them any time at all to get it turned around, and I never had it red ring ever again. But that was the only incident that I had with the Xbox was, you know, and PS3 was my primary system for the second half of that generation, but 360 I definitely played a ton of in the first half of that generation.
Yeah, my 360 red ringed on me as well. I think it was when Modern Warfare 2 was out. Because I was playing the multiplayer of that like a lot. And I remember, well, mine had red ringed, I think prior to that, you know, during my heavy Rainbow Six Vegas days. And my sister knew a guy who, I guess, repaired consoles. So he's like, oh, instead of shipping it to Microsoft, I'll just fix it for you. And so he did, didn't charge me anything, which was nice. It worked for about 2-3 months, and then it died again. So he may have fleeced me. I should have just sent it to Microsoft or something.
He probably did.
Yeah,
He probably did the Tyler fix of put it in the oven and it works again.
he might have.
We did have, and it wasn't as bad as red ringing, but we did have a fair amount because I worked at GameStop all the way through the almost to the PS4 release. I worked there until 2011, so almost to the PS4 releasing. I was like 2 years from the PS4 releasing, I think. And we had a lot of the PS3s come back with that yellow light.
Oh yeah, I've heard about
bricked
that.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be like the yellow light would come up and then it would blue screen?
Yeah. And then nothing, you couldn't get it to play anything. You couldn't get it to.
Right.
And then on the slim ones, it wasn't so bad because you could take the disc out because it was just you hit a button and the top slid open. But on those original PS3 models, you couldn't get the disc out at all.
Oh, the Ultra Slim.
Mhm.
I should get an Ultra
What-
Slim. I've been thinking
what
about
was
it.
That's
that
the one I have.
Was that because the with the original PS3 it didn't have a button? It had the sensor, or
Yeah.
was there,
Yeah.
and there was no like hard.
There was like a
eject button?
paperclip thing that you could do, but it didn't always work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, we
See that?
I've never owned
I
a
eventually-
PS3, but I
eventually
borrowed my
ended
friends
up-
for a long time.
getting one of those Star Wars Connect 360s. That's the one I still have.
Oh, the R2D2 one.
Yeah, and then I have
Nice.
the Ultra Slim PS. Well, not the Ultra Slim, but the one with the ridged
Slim?
top, the Slim. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
My friend let me borrow
Yeah,
his
say-
for like a year, and I beat like a bunch of PS3 games on it, and then I gave it back to him. And I have a Slim 360 over here, which actually the same friend, because he bought a 360 just to play Bully, and then he beat it, and then after he's like, "I don't want this. Do you want it?" And he just gave it to me, so now I have his. So
See, I bought a arcade Xbox 360 that came with no memory.
Right, and you
It
could
had,
buy that
yeah.
like 2
shitty
megabytes of
proprietary
memory inside
A little
of it.
memory card.
256 megabyte memory card that plugged into the front slot.
So I had that, and what the fuck did I play on that?
Gears
I
1.
think I played I borrowed Gears 1 from my neighbor, and I played Prototype because I remember playing Prototype on a CRT TV, and I couldn't read any of the text because it was so fucking crunched.
I had that
Yeah.
problem with Dead Rising,
Um,
but I think everybody did with Dead
Oh
Rising.
yeah, Dead Rising is
yeah,
the tiniest
I had
text.
the same problem with Dead Rising.
Yeah.
I remember buying it, and my ex was fucking livid that I bought it. It was like $100 when I got it,
Oh, is that
and
because you didn't spend the $100 on her?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I didn't
I
spend it
remember the
on
lore.
taking her out on a
This
date.
is the Chris
Yeah,
lore.
on taking her out. Yes, it's same one. They got pissed about the TV. They didn't spend $400 on taking
That
her
sounds like a
out on a
lovely.
date.
That sounds like a really nice TV.
Man, I love that TV. And oh, I was talking to my cousin today, the one that had the big Sony HDNA TV,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Oh, I'm moving back to Puerto Rico." I'm like, "Cool, because you got your PlayStation and your TV and your drum kit over there." It's like, "Yeah, I still have my TV there." I'm like, you motherfucker, that TV is old, but it looks so fucking good.
You telling me you don't want to take that
Mine's
back to
dead.
Puerto Rico? You just slide that over.
Oh, he
here
left
for
it
me.
there. He left it there.
You can't.
Fucker.
Damn. Have you tried to get one?
Oh no, I'm good with what I have. I'm not gonna hunt down a TV from 15 years ago. I'm good.
That probably weighs like 700 pounds. You know those
Those
flat
like
screen quote unquote TVs that
yeah
like
that almost look like rear projection, and then
Yeah,
when you
and they-
and unless you're
Yeah.
staring straight at it, it looks like dog shit.
yeah, and they weigh 1,000 pounds, and the bottom is made of nothing but razor blades.
Yes,
You know,
I've carried a few of those up some very skinny apartment steps in my day.
It's same. We had to do
Ugh.
five
No.
flights of very skinny apartment stairs.
Yeah.
We
And
had
the-
to take breaks like every 10 steps because the
And
thing was
there's-
like 300 pounds.
And those TVs were never any good. Just never any good. At least I never liked them.
I mean, old games look better on them. I'll say that on original consoles.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, yeah, but you're better off
They
just
do.
hunting down an old CRT.
That's getting harder and
Or
harder
you
these
can-
days.
Or
True.
you could get a Steam Deck, right? Get a Steam Deck and download Emu Deck, and Emu Deck lets you alter the image to your liking.
As long
It
as
lets
you
alter
own
it
the
so
game.
much.
Yes.
As
Make sure
long as-
you
yes.
dump your own copies. You dump them onto your
Yes,
computer
that's
and
what I
transfer
did.
them to your Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what.
That's
I
what we did, Nintendo. I swear to God.
Yeah. What was I gonna fucking say? Oh, you can upgrade the resolution so much on the Steam Deck that you'll be able to count the frames per second. It will be half a frame per second on some games.
Goodness.
I did it on Shaolin Monks, and it was unplayable. I had to crank it back down to
It was like playing it on
times
playing it
4.
on a viewfinder.
It's like
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like
yeah.
playing on PowerPoint or something.
Yeah. It's like and the music and the sound effects, it's like if you had your CD player and you kept playing hit pause, play pause, play pause, play pause.
It was
play,
like-
pause. That's
it
how
was
the
like-
music sounded.
Putting a Discman on the seat of your car, but like directly on the seat of your car, not on a jacket or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It was great, but yeah, don't buy a CRT, buy a Steam Deck.
Just
You can get better games to run better that way.
put a CRT filter on it.
If you're
Do
an
anybody use those? Does anybody
Oh, I
like the
know lots
CRT
of people
filters?
that use them.
Okay,
Some people love them. Yeah.
I don't get it.
I mean, you can always just wipe Vaseline on your screen if they don't have a CRT filter,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
your Steam Deck.
yeah, I've just never understood
This-
that. Or
this-
scan lines, like I don't mind jaggy pixels. They're
This
fine.
YouTube channel, GameSack, they fucking
Ah,
adore
yes, I love GameSack.
the fucking scan lines. I don't know why, but they fucking love
They're
it.
weird.
Like, they go bad shit over that.
They're like weird old purists in a way, you know. And I respect that they want to like have the original experience. Like I respect people who go out of their way to do that, but
Mhm.
I don't give enough of a shit, you know. I really don't. I've been playing through the Mega Man games, and I beat all the NES ones on a Series X, and I'm fine.
With what's it called? The little saves.
Yeah,
The
with save.
save.
Yeah,
save-
I use
save
yes,
states.
I save stated. I rewind like a little bitch. I admit to it. But with Legacy,
Did you kill Wywee at the end?
yes. Well, with
Okay, then you beat the game.
but with Legacy Collection 2, they don't let you do that. They give you like
no, they checkpoint you. They'll let you do
checkpoint you.
checkpoints.
which is fine. I accept that, no problem. So I beat 7 and 8 like that. So Eh, made me get good.
I mean, the bottom line is that there are purists out there, and the thing is, you can just play the games in their purest form. But
Yeah.
I've come to accept that like games ultimately are about having fun and just play them the way you want to play them to have
Yeah.
fun. If there's a setting that makes the game easier and you have more fun when you make it easier, just make it easier.
Yeah, and some people want to
I
like,
will
and
say,
some people will dig a CRT out of a dumpster, hook up an old NES to it with like an RF, with the fuzzy picture, and play, with the controller and everything. And
yeah,
to them, that's fun. And
I
it's
would
like
love
I
to
did
do that.
that. I'd probably never want to do that again. I did that, and I'm fine with just playing them on a Switch.
I would love to do that. I would love to have a CRT here in the room so that I can play, the GameCube and the Nintendo 64 and Sega and whatnot. But I don't have the space for it. One, and two, if they get damaged, there's no fixing it. Just throw it out.
Yeah, I
And
have a CRT upstairs and all my old consoles. Um, but I mean, I haven't turned that TV on in a decade easily. I haven't hooked any of those consoles up in a long time.
We got rid of our CRTs a
should
long time ago.
Yeah. Because I would love to play fucking Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones, and Hulk Ultimate Destruction on my GameCube. But if I plug it up to my HDMI TV, I can't fucking see anything on it. I tried playing True Crimes, and I couldn't see anything in one stage. Like, I don't know how I passed the stage because I couldn't see fucking anything.
Well, and it's not
But
worth
now
it to
that I have the
spend like
Steam Deck,
hundreds of dollars on an
yeah.
upscaler for your
So
HDTV either.
so like you can
Yeah.
get a really good upscaler setup for $300, but I don't have $300 laying around.
Well, and they even have people now that you can send your console to them, and they'll just put an HDMI port in your PS2 or your GameCube or your whatever, and it's the upscalers inside the console.
I have one of those external
Yes.
HD upscalers for the GameCube, and it's fine, honestly. But weirdly enough, when I got the official component cables for the Wii and play GameCube games in that, to me they looked better. I don't know why.
Oh, most definitely they did. Because the thing is, the I think, and I'm probably wrong. The component cables, they send out an HD signal, and not the standard signal that the CRT TV takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they're capped at 720 or 8.
Well, these I
720 is still pretty decent.
well I think these
Well,
go to
for those games, yeah.
they go to 480p, but it looks just fine to me. If I'm gonna be that picky, I'll just like boot up Dolphin on my Series X, output the resolution at 4K, and be fine. If I'm that picky,
That's the best thing you can do, and the thing is that it will upscale the game as you play
Yeah.
it. So you're probably gonna hit 60 frames per second
Oh, yeah.
on the game the entire time.
F-Zero GX.
So it's gonna look like you're roasting at glasses. Remember what it looks like.
Yeah, F-Zero GX on a Series X. It's pretty nice.
That game ran at 60 frames per second on the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
And it's an amazing game.
Oh yeah, it's hard as balls. I'm not gonna play it.
It's so much fun though.
I'm good. Champ, did you ever play F-Zero GX?
Yeah, I've played F-Zero GX, and I actually at MagFest this year they had like 2 or 3 AX cabinets. They had 4 of them connected that were not the sit down ones, and then they had one of the sit down ones with the motors in it that like turn the cab and everything. So I got to play some AX back in January.
Is it the same game as GX, or is it slightly different?
It is a different game from GX. AX is actually on the GameCube disc. I don't remember what you have to do to unlock it, but the game of AX is somewhere on that disc, and I don't remember how to unlock it. But
I'll look that up.
AX is its own game. It's similar to GX, but it's way fun in the arcade, especially the sit down cabinet, because the whole thing tilts and sways as you turn and stuff. But it's
Does
neat.
it freak out when you crash?
Yeah, it vibrates and stuff. It's kind of neat. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah. This year at MagFest they had like a very. They always have an arcade that's like warehouse size, and this year like one whole section of it was nothing but racing games. So they had a whole wall of Daytonas that were all linked together. You know, they had a bunch of cruising machines that were linked together. They had the Initial D machines, a bunch of them that were linked together. You know, and then
Man,
next to that was all rhythm games, like just crazy rhythm games from all over the world. In fact, they had a Rhythm Heaven cabinet. I don't know if you ever played that for DS, but the arcade
Love Rhythm
version is
Heaven.
really fun.
Did they have the Guitar Hero arcade?
I don't think they had that. The arcade near me has the 2-player Guitar Hero cabinet. Those guitars are real heavy
They are.
for the arcade cabinet.
But I liked. I mean, it's essentially Guitar Hero 3 in an
Mhm.
arcade cab, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like
man,
Guitar
I
Hero
remember
3.
people getting really sweaty for the Initial D arcade cabinet, especially because you could get like a card with your car stats, and every time you played, you can upgrade it.
There
And
were
they-
there are
there
actually
was-
several of them because they had several different Initial D games there, and they're fun. They
There
play a
was-
lot like a more arcadey Ridge Racer.
Ooh, Ridge Racer is good.
Mm-hmm.
There
Will
was
they
one
ever
for
bring
the
it back?
GameCube that was really good.
Type 4 on the PS1 is probably my favorite.
My favorite is Rage Racer on the PS1. I love that one.
That's a good one. I wish they'd bring Ridge.
Never
I
heard of
wish.
that
I
one.
wish they'd bring Ridge Racer back.
At least the announcer guy.
Yeah, I mean Ace Combat still exists. Why can't they do Ridge Racer?
I mean, I've never played Ace Combat.
Neither have I, but I know a guy in another Discord I'm in who loves Ace Combat. Like,
I've played Ace
Like-
Combat. They're fine. They're fun.
like if I bring it up, he'll send us like a wall of text detailing. Literally, he is obsessed with it because I asked him once. I'm like, "Which one should I play?" And he sent me this like mound of text trying to explain it all to me. And I think the one he recommended I start is 3. I think it's what I got out of it. It's a PS2 one, I think.
See, since we're never getting a Star Fox game, I
You say that
probably should
now.
look elsewhere. I probably should look elsewhere for my fix, and I have Crimson Skies as one of them.
Ooh, Crimson
And-
Skies is good.
Because isn't it free on Xbox on Game Pass?
Yes,
yeah,
is-
yeah.
it's a fun game.
Yeah,
It's very
so that's one.
it's very
I liked
old.
that
It play-
Corvus game. I like
The what?
that. Okay.
Mhm.
Chorus.
oh, with the
Corvus.
V.
Chorves.
Chorus.
Chores,
Yeah.
yeah. I will say Crimson Skies
That-
plays a little bit like the GameCube Rogue Squadron games. Like Rogue
Yeah,
Leader.
it's a
Ooh, that's
little
good.
more canyon runny, you know, like a
Okay,
little more.
yeah.
Then arcadey.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more arcadey
Arcade
for
flight
sure.
shooter.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
it's
Okay.
a lot of fun. Even has
Because it was
a
the same team that made like secret missions over Normandy or what, like those games.
Yeah, yeah.
The LucasArts games.
Yeah. They do Blazing Angels too? Or is that a different team?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But they did all those like secret missions over Normandy, secret missions over Iwo Jima, or what, you know, like there was a whole series of them.
hmm
Okay.
And Crimson Skies, it even has a cute story if you hang with it. It's a little Indiana Jones ish, and that's kind of like an adventure story. It's not important, but it's fun.
The other one that I'm looking at is Ace Combat, but Ace Combat looks kind of like I gotta fucking buckle down and. pay
Ace
attention
Combat
to
is
what I'm
definitely
doing.
more. It's not really a sim. It's still kind of arcadey, but it's more afterburner than anything else.
Ooh, Afterburner is fun.
And it's very weeby. It has a very weeb story to it. At least that's what I'm told.
I should probably look into that because you can get 7 for cheap.
Yeah.
Because I had a buddy that was obsessed with them, and when 7 came out, that's all he played. And I saw him like the mission was that he had to get his jet off of the runway while a bombing run was happening, and then take down all of the bombers that were around the area. And I was like, this doesn't look like it's quite for me, but it could be different while I'm playing it. You know?
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a game that you should try called Aces of the Galaxy.
Ooh, I have that game. That's a good game.
Aces of the Galaxy is apparently the way to get your Did you get Starlink? Wasn't that like Star Fox?
I was about to ask.
So
Starlink.
that is Starlink is Assassin's Creed with spaceships.
But there's a whole Star Fox section.
There's a whole Star Fox DLC. And there is you can play the entire game as Fox McCloud on an R-Wing. But it's still Assassin's Creed with spaceships.
So not your thing.
So
I don't know if you ever
you got
played
the massive maps and
the PS2 remake of Defender. That's got some Star Fox DNA to it as well. Like Defender's an old, super hard arcade game, but the remake for PS2, and I want to say Sylphid, another remake of an old arcade game, but Defender, the remake for PS2, was a lot like Star Fox. And apparently, there's a Japan-only Cowboy Bebop game for PS1 that's where you fly the Swordfish 2.
We need to get this man another Star Fox game. I think it'll happen.
Yeah, no. I hope, because the thing is, like, Nintendo's doing this stupid fucking shit that pisses me the fuck off, where they're like, we don't know what to do with the series, so it's just gonna stay there. Like, I don't need you to fucking innovate with every single fucking game you release. Just give me more of the same.
Well,
I'm happy with that.
They're gonna reinvent it as Tears of the Galaxy.
Ooh.
Fucking Breath of the Pikachu. I'm tired of that.
And then
Tears of the
you're
Slippy.
gonna get in your jet and you're just gonna pick a direction. You're gonna fly off and see what you find.
They'd be better off doing Assault 2. Just do another Assault.
Yeah, Assault 2's fine. I'm fine with Adventures 2 if they want to do Adventures 2.
They don't need to. They have Zelda.
Command 2, I'm fine with Command 2.
Even if they wanted to do like a Wing Commander style thing where like you have destinations on a map. So you have levels that are kind of like Gummy Ship levels or Star Fox 64 levels where you shoot on the way to your destination, and then you get into those, what are they called? The assault areas? Where you
all range mode,
where you're shooting around in a big open space. And you can do it that way. You don't have to land on the planet. You don't need to make it Elite Dangerous. You don't have to start trading stuff or, building your own. And you can make the ships customizable.
No Man's Sky.
Doesn't have to be Starfield.
You can make the ships customizable or whatever, but
yeah,
I don't. It just makes sense to do an arcade game of Star Fox.
Yeah, that's what it is essentially.
Because they're still on that bullshit excuse of, oh, we're not doing a new F-Zero because we don't know how to innovate it. We're not doing another Star Fox because we don't know how to innovate. It's like, that's not what we fucking want. Because they're going to shoehorn in some stupid fucking mechanic that's just going to ruin
they're not making
thing.
a new F-Zero because they can just take those courses and put them in Mario Kart and more people will play them than ever played F-Zero.
Yeah.
That's true.
If they just said they don't want to make a new F-Zero because it's not like commercially viable, like it's not going to sell enough copies, everybody would be like, yeah, you're right, but still make it.
I look at it like this. They've got to do something to innovate.
It would sell like fucking crazy.
They got to do something to innovate with Mario Kart, right?
Yes.
Because the next game's going to have to do something because they're not interested in making a new game right now because this one's still selling.
Yeah.
And they've still got courses coming out for it. So to me, what makes the most sense is you make they'll never make a Mario Kart again, in my opinion. The next game will be Super Smash Kart. It'll have characters from all across Nintendo, just like Super Smash Brothers. You'll have
I'd be fine with that.
All kinds of characters.
I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
That are announced in packs or whatever. And then I think the smart thing to do, because no one really cares about battle modes, you can keep it in, but they should add a double dash mode.
Yes.
You don't need to make the whole game double dash, but add a double dash mode.
Just a double dash mode.
And you add an F-Zero mode where you can, instead of carts, you're playing on those courses like F-Zero with the health gain zones the refueling zones that you go into. Like it plays like F-Zero, and it's all the same courses. You don't have to modify anything. You just put F-Zero carts on those courses,
That
and
could
make
work.
an F-Zero mode. I think it could work.
My only issue with a double dash mode is that I feel it would be very underdeveloped.
I think you do a double dash mode as a multiplayer mode.
Okay, that would be better.
what really more can you do with a double dash mode? Like the original one had two characters, and when you get them together, they have their special abilities. You have the cards that are designed specifically for these characters. What else can you build upon that?
I think you make it a
already
multiplayer
has a
mode.
very solid.
Yeah.
Because I've played 16 player Double Dash, and it's fantastic. Like, everybody gets paired up with a second person. You link all your game cubes together, and you literally, everybody's in two carts, you know. I mean, have you ever played the Mario Kart arcade game?
Yes. Yes, I have.
So in the Mario Kart arcade game,
It has Pac-Man.
Mario Kart GP, yeah, you can play as Pac-Man because it's actually made by Namco. You can play co-op sitting next to each other. You're not in the same cart until you get a specific power-up. And once you get this specific power-up, one person drives the cart, and it puts a big tank turret on top of it, and the other player just has a tank shooting shells at everybody around them. It's kind of they don't have blue shells, they have this tank thing that you can use co-op.
They should throw that in Double Dash mode.
Yeah, I just think Double Dash would make a great co-op mode.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think if they do maybe like a single player adventure mode like Diddy Kong Racing for like single player content, that would be a nice addition.
I'd be
as
fine
well.
with that too. Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
You could even do the Fight Night Round 3 or the NBA Street Volume 3 on GameCube thing, where the first one had Punch Out in the game, Super Punch Out in the game. In Fight Night, you could just play Super Punch Out. In NBA Street Volume 3, you could play as the Mario characters in the basketball. Just throw the whole game of Double Dash in there. How much room would it take on the disc?
Or cartridge.
Like not much. Like a gig, maybe?
Yeah.
So, you know, throw the whole game on there, unlockable, just the original game.
Yeah, it'll be curious.
What I like about that idea is that if a new F-Zero game comes out, I'm buying it.
Yes,
right.
I'm buying it too.
I have a fucking problem, and I'm not gonna stop buying every game that Nintendo releases because I'm a fucking addict. But I'm not gonna play that fucking game. I'm probably gonna pop it in, try it out, hate it, and put it back on my shelf, just like Mario Strikers.
Strikers is its own problem.
A game is fucking dog shit. No. Even with all the fixes that they've done, it's still fucking terrible.
Just play the GameCube one.
It's soccer. That's the problem. It's soccer. Soccer's a shit sport. Anyways.
That'd be fighting words.
If they did what Champ said and added an F-Zero mode to the next Mario Kart, you would get me to play Mario Kart because I can play that with Carrot and I can play that with people that come over to hang out. We would dabble in the F-Zero mode just because, you know, it's funny. But, you know, that's the way that you would get people to play it and then justify it for future releases.
Yeah,
they market it in the same way that Nintendo markets everything else, is by saying, "Oh, we're doing a throwback nostalgia thing," you know?
Yeah.
Like what they did with Odyssey when you jump into the pipes and go through the 2D sections. You know, and it's look, it's a throwback, you know?
That was so good.
It was so good.
Whole Jump Up Superstar part.
Dude, but some of those sections were tough. There's the one where the level scrolls horizontally and vertically, but you have to stay within a certain square, and the level auto scrolls, but you can't get as far forward as you want, and you can't fall far behind, and you can't get too high or too low.
And you have the bullet bills.
In a specific, and they have bullet bills, and you have to jump from planet to planet, and the gravities change on all the planets. It's very difficult. That game's great.
That's probably, honestly, Odyssey's probably my favorite Switch game.
Oh, yeah, Odyssey's probably my favorite Mario game.
It's up there. I don't know if it's number one, but it's close.
It might be my favorite 3D Mario game. For sure.
I can agree with that. It's just Mario 3 is so much in my heart. I don't know if I can put it above that.
See, I really like Mario 64 DS a lot. A whole
lot. I like that game. I
know
a lot of people.
It's the worst version of that game. It's the worst version.
Well, control-wise, it is absolutely
Mario 64 with a D-pad. Oh, yeah. Fuck that game. D-pad.
Control-wise, it is definitively the worst version. But to be able to use...
It doesn't make it better. I've tried.
Be able to use Wario and Yoshi and Luigi was fun.
Yeah,
Like,
it's.
And all the extra content that they
and having
added
the extra
just to
levels
justify
was
them.
super fun. Yeah,
I like.
yeah.
All that stuff is fine, but like the whole thing with 64 is the control. And I feel like the control isn't very good in that game, and it kind of takes
Play it on
away
the
all
DS.
that stuff.
the
I tried.
DS one,
It doesn't.
the controls
It doesn't
are bad.
improve. It doesn't improve it as much. And plus, I
But-
hate the circle pad.
If you go back and play Mario 64, the controls work fine, but the camera is dog shit. So
Yes.
Oh no, the camera's fucking awful. That's the only reason why I didn't finish it when the 3D collection came out.
It's one of the few Mario games I haven't beaten.
I mean, I can go back and get 120 stars probably in the next 3 hours if I really sat down and tried to, because I've done it so many times with that game.
Mhm.
But yeah, the camera's tough, and it's tougher to go back to now that we know what being able to control a camera is like.
Sunshine's better.
I like
Never played
Sunshine a
Sunshine.
lot, but it is clearly unfinished.
Yes, but I like Sunshine. I just think it has a lot of like personality to it. And yeah, it can be a bit clunky and have its own issues, but I just find it more interesting of a game to play than
I like
64.
how hard it is.
Yeah.
What
I
I
mean,
don't
it's-
like is the blue coins.
The blue coins.
Finding all the blue coins is impossible without a guide.
I don't like the blue coins. I'm not a big fan of like you have to do the shines in order. Fair, but like
Well, and that's what Odyssey did that I love the most.
and the
is
lava boat's bullshit.
You
but-
collect a sprite. You just keep going in the level. Like
Yeah.
the level just continues on. You don't have to leave the
Yes.
level until you're
I like
ready.
that.
Odyssey perfected
See
it.
that's
Odyssey perfected the 3D
what I
Mario
hated the
formula.
most. That's what I hated the most about the Dark Side of Dark Moon, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Oh yeah.
I haven't played that one.
I understand. I understand that it was made with the 3DS
3DS.
in mind, where it's portable. You have missions instead of having a whole place to explore. But I played like the first 2 stages, and every single time it took me out, it just made me not want to go back in to play the game. Because the first one works so well, where it's just streamlined and you have this whole house that you can explore and all these ghosts to collect. But then in the second one, you collect the ghosts, you're done. Go back outside, get rid of the ghosts, come back in, hunt some other ghosts, kind of like in Mario 64. My sister beat that game and she loved it, but then again, she doesn't know what good games are. So
The only thing I could think with Dark Moon is it's set up like that because it's a portable game. So it's like you go do a
Yes.
couple missions and then when you back out, you're like, oh, I can put it down and come back to it later.
yes, but Castlevania Portrait of Ruin kind of did the same thing where you have different portraits that are their own contained castles, which is what this game does. Instead of having one whole mansion, you have a bunch of different small mansions to explore. And then they re-released, the original Luigi's Mansion, which is this giant mansion for you to explore, and it works perfectly fine. Like, even if it's portable, it still works well. Like, why couldn't they just do that with the sequel?
Well, they did. It's called Luigi's Mansion 3.
That game's great.
It is great.
It's
pretty fun.
And I love how that game is considered the benchmark for like commercial success. Like whenever like a Sony, whenever like a well, whenever like say when they said, "Oh, Final Fantasy 15 has sold like 10 million copies or whatever," I know people who said, "Yeah, but Luigi's Mansion 3 sold 13 million." It's like
Did it really sell 13
it
million?
has sold 13
Yeah,
million
'cause-
copies.
You had that, you had Odyssey, and you had Breath of the Wild. And that was it on the Switch for a while.
Well, Mansion was 2019, I think.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and I think just with Luigi Mansion 3 because it looked so good, and you could tell Nintendo's like, you know what, we should do this like every Nintendo console. We should just make another Luigi's Mansion. Why not?
What they
Like,
need
actually
to
do
do
some
is
work with
bring
it.
back. They need to put the ghosts, make them have like personalities again, because all the ghosts look exactly the same and they all behave exactly the same.
Like the aesthetics of 1 are my favorite, but 3's
Oh, yeah.
gameplay is just like they could just do that forever, and I'm
Well,
happy.
Because 3 has the most reasonable controls from a modern standpoint.
Yes,
That makes the gameplay
Like-
way more fun.
the Luigi stuff was
3
great.
has a
Love the
lot.
puzzle solving. The boss battles were great. There's not a lot to complain about with 3.
3 has a lot of Dark Moon in it. Because the whole stun and I think the slamming the ghost is from Dark Moon.
Yeah, but I don't mind that. Weren't we talking
I
about
would have liked if
Gears?
this.
How did we get from Gears
fuck
of War
Gears.
to Luigi's Mansion?
It's tank controls.
There you go.
Yep, full circle. So do we want to wrap up Gears or do we want to keep talking shit about Nintendo?
I'm fine with wrapping up Gears. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the Yakuza, the RGG Summit is starting
Soon?
basically now.
I'll check it out.
boy.
I'll check it out in the morning. So,
Yeah, I'll check it out in the morning.
but
I
but
don't have much going on at work, so yeah.
can I safely
true.
can I safely assume that when Like a Dragon 8 comes out, we will do this again?
Oh, for sure. But like 2 months after it's come out.
Oh yeah,
when
yeah, because Chris will probably knock it out real quick. I'll probably be a little bit behind him, and we'll be waiting on you to do everything.
yeah.
No, well, I still haven't finished Ishin, mostly because Burger Champ hasn't gotten into it, and I still haven't even continued Lost Judgment. And Rick is like almost done with it. And I'm like, fuck, I haven't. I'm not even halfway through it. So
I finally finished everything I could do in chapter 2
In
of 4. So now I'm going to move on to chapter 3.
For 5?
Do you know what happens with Seijima? Why he was in prison?
Nope, I haven't gotten to his character yet. I'm still on Akiyama.
I cannot wait for you to go through the whole scene with Saejima and why he's in prison. It is so fucking good.
Yeah, I'm just playing with Akiyama now. I've done just about everything in this chapter. There's only 4 chapters per character in each part. And so now literally all I have to do is the sub stories because I've done everything I can possibly do. So it's going to go real fast for a while until it changes to the next character, and then I'll have to go do their things, and then it'll go fast, and then it'll slow down.
It's such a good game.
It's really good.
I wish I could quit my job and just play video games for a living.
It's a step forward from 3.
I need to try 0 again. I'll do it, okay? Just be patient with me.
Sometimes I lose faith in you when you say stuff like that. Like you love 7, but
I did.
0
I
didn't make
love
sense.
7 to death. I think it's just I like Ichiban more than Kiryu. I think that's the problem.
Well, because you haven't had a lot of time with Kiryu.
Yeah,
true. But
and
what I know of Kiryu
is very, very young.
But what I know of Kiryu, it's I don't know. It doesn't click with me the same way as Ichi does. I don't know.
Oh
why.
Man, he's so much sillier than Ichiban in the long run.
Mm-hmm. but when I saw Ichiban in that Xbox showcase for Like a Dragon 8, I got very excited. That was like the only time I actually lost my shit.
What's it called now? Infinite Money?
Infinite Wealth.
Infinite Wealth.
And then they released something trying to explain the title, but they didn't really explain it. They're just like, you'll find out.
Well, they were explaining why they had a different title in the United States and in Japan.
Oh, because in Japan it's just Ryuga Goto 8, right?
Yes, because in Japan the direct translation of Infinite Wealth means different things in different types of Japanese. So, but they said that Infinite Wealth will make sense in the United States.
Okay.
In the subtitled version, as they call it.
Yeah. Because it'll be interesting to see, like, with Ichi in America, is that how the game starts? Is that, like, halfway through?
Well, they haven't even confirmed that it was America, but there are a lot of English speakers. He's on a beach, and it looks like Miami. Dude, can you imagine?
I heard some people say Hawaii.
Ichiban's city is Miami or Honolulu.
Yeah, some people were saying Hawaii, which I think would make sense. Because if the idea if that like he's like naked and maybe they threw him in the ocean or some shit, he would wash up
he's on an
Hawaii.
island. You know?
Yeah,
Or maybe he made it all the way to California and he went there to get canceled.
Ichiban in LA would be amazing.
In LA, it would be so fucking weird.
And then
Ichiban gets addicted to meth.
Well, he did learn some basic English in
7.
Like a Dragon. Yeah, in 7.
That he does. But it was
you have to take a whole course on it.
Yeah, it was so funny. I saw some people say after the trailer for 8, they're like, imagine Ichiban walking up to people and him saying, "Wait, you don't know what Dragon Quest is?" Because they're Americans.
Apparently, the Dragon Quest,
like your life.
Apparently, the Dragon Quest part of it becomes way more meta in this new one.
That's exciting. And a rumor, I'll say it for the Patreon, is that apparently they're working on a 2D Ichiban game that's more directly like an old school Dragon Quest game.
Well, we'll see.
If that's
a guy talking.
If that's real, that'd be amazing.
I'd be down for that shit.
I will play that. I'll do everything.
Man, October and November are going to be stacked for games for me.
I mean, September's looking hefty with just
because August is Sea of Stars, and that will carry me into October. And I got Alan Wake 2. And then a couple weeks later, we got that Stopgap, the man who erased his name.
Oh yeah,
that I'm excited.
Like a Dragon game.
I might play that one because I'm curious to it.
I'm very excited for that one.
Yeah, isn't it like in October?
Let's see, because we might have a direct at some point, sometime before then.
Well, September.
Like at September, we might have a direct. And
Nintendo always has a direct in September.
That might ruin the whole rest of the year. It might plug in a bunch of games that are going to come out.
I don't think so, because I get the sense Nintendo's gearing up to be like, here's the Switch successor. I think that's what.
And right now, the only thing Nintendo could announce that would get me excited is a 3D Mario game.
And they're going to save that for the next Switch. At this point, they wouldn't do another.
The only thing Nintendo could announce that will get me excited is anything.
Star Fox.
As long as it's not Animal Crossing.
Star Fox.
Probably.
Well,
I will not sleep until that game comes out. I will stay awake until then. Just to make sure I'm not dreaming.
Because we have Pikmin 4 in July. And then...
Oh, yeah, we do.
And then after that, nothing. No idea.
Yeah. We don't have a game for Christmas yet.
Which says to me, probably in maybe like August time, they might be like, okay, here's the next Switch. It's going to come out holiday next year. They're not going to announce it in a direct, but they will do a separate thing for it. I think they'll announce it this year. It's time.
Unless they announced a 3D Mario that was going to be exclusive to the new console, I think I would wait to get a new Switch.
If it's backwards compatible with all the current Switch, I'll swap them. At the very least.
It has to be.
Yes, it needs to be. Otherwise, I wouldn't buy it day one. I
cannot see it going any other way.
I'm not going to buy it day one if it isn't.
The Switch has just had... I don't know. The Switch has had little to offer me for this generation in general.
Yeah.
And and that's just because of my personal preference, but like, it's had very little to offer me.
Yeah. But it's been...
that I can't get elsewhere.
Yeah, but it's been such a big success. It's sold so fucking much.
It has.
It would make...
It would be massive weeb machine, too.
It would be really stupid of them to be like, oh, all your... Because millions of people probably have like dozens of Switch games.
Good thing I've never done that before.
Yeah, never. But I think it's different this time. Because like Sony and Microsoft have said, like, this is the way going forward. We can't ditch it with digital libraries. We can't get rid of it. And I think Nintendo, I don't think they can risk that unless they want another Wii U.
It would be hilarious if all your digital games transferred.
But your physicals didn't?
Physical games were not backwards compatible.
That would be so stupid. But that sounds Nintendo. But that's a Nintendo thing to do.
This Yakuza game that's coming up, they're not doing a physical release at all.
Yep, all digital.
Man who erased his name or whatever.
As is Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2 will have no physical release.
That week in October, it's like what? Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Forza Motorsport, and like Spider-Man. all in like 7 to 10 days, which is that week is
Mirage.
ridiculous. I need
Mirage is something I'll play when it either comes to Game Pass or drops below $20.
I need to get back on the Assassin's Creeds.
I'm excited for Mirage solely because it is back to the classic
Back to
Assassin's
basics,
Creed formula.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck all this 150 plus hour open world RPG bullshit. That is not Assassin's Creed.
But-
they focus so much on doing these fucking massive worlds that the story is just shit.
But you liked Odyssey.
Like it's I loved Odyssey, but then when I think back on Ragnarok, it wasn't cohesive. It just felt like a bunch of different tiny stories sprinkled all over with the same characters, and it didn't tell like a major overarching story. It was fucking terrible. I thinking back on it, that game was trash.
Mm-hmm. Most people aren't high on Valhalla in general, so
No.
I need to get back
the
on
people
them.
that are really into it, they're really putting like hundreds and hundreds of hours into Valhalla.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like if that's your game, they give you a lot of it, and I respect that.
Oh yeah.
But
I just don't want to deal with gear. I don't want to deal with leveling. Like,
well,
that's
didn't
what turned me off of
Valhalla
Origins.
strip a lot of that stuff back?
I don't know. I haven't played Valhalla, but
I think
that's what
it had
turned
an
me off of.
optimization button.
Yeah,
That's
like
what turned me off of
like-
Origins. Is like
because I heard with
having to manage weapons and armor. Like, I don't want to do that.
Well,
in
I heard-
an Assassin's Creed game.
I heard with Valhalla they stripped the loot back, and you know,
They did.
and they actually let you stealth kill people because I think in Odyssey you really can't stealth kill people.
I don't remember.
You
I
can-
know that in Valhalla there's an option that you click that will let you do the auto kill.
Yeah,
Because if you don't select it, then you can't do it. You will go attack somebody that's higher level than you, and you will just take a little bit of health away from them.
I mean, I'm definitely more interested in Mirage than any of the games that have come out recently. But I mean, I like Assassin's Creed. I can't say that like it's one of my favorite series or anything. You know, it's definitely not a day one purchase
no,
type of game to me. You know,
especially in like a month it'll be like half price. Or,
right?
You
And
know.
I'd rather get an Immortals Phoenix Rising 2 than another Assassin's Creed game because I
Well,
liked that game a lot.
I don't think we'll get that, unfortunately.
No,
But, I mean, we're getting that-
Tears of the
But
Kingdom
we're
for
getting that 2.5D Prince of Persia game, so who knows? Ubisoft may.
My friend Pam,
crank one out.
they
it's going to be a Metroidvania.
It looks
my friend
great.
Pam, Ubisoft flew her to France to demo that
Oh,
game.
that was the game?
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Nice.
So she's played it. She's got a video out now, actually, about her thoughts on playing it. It's a Metroidvania.
Is she hype on it? Look good.
She said she liked it a lot.
Good.
Well, I haven't watched the video, but
looks
that's
really
what
good.
she said in our conversation.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
I'm definitely gonna play it. It's a shame a lot of people kind of like talk shit about it. You know,
I think it looks good.
it looks great.
AAA elitists.
I know some people who, when they saw that, they got upset because they're thinking, "Oh, we're getting this instead of like the Sands of Time remake," and it's like, guys, that's a whole nother.
They
That's
already
the whole
did
issue.
an HD collection of Sands of Time games, right?
Yeah,
And the audio was awful.
but they're doing like a full on. When they first showed off the Sands of Time remake, I think it was going to be like a smaller project, and everybody like
Yeah.
shat on it. So they're like, okay, let's give it to Montreal. Let's make it a big deal. Let's give it more of a budget, which means we're not going to see it for like 5 years.
And I like the Sands of Time games,
If
but
we
this
see
new one
Yeah.
is made by the Rayman Legends team.
Yeah.
And I like Rayman Legends more than any of the Sands of Time games.
My-
There, I said it. I said it.
My son's into Rayman Legends right now. He plays it all the time. He loves it.
It's great.
It's a fun
it's
game.
really fun.
It is great.
My kids are looking very forward to this Disney Rayman Legends game that Ubisoft made.
Oh, the Mickey Mouse
Goofy.
Solution?
Yeah, it
Oh,
looks great.
That's a Rayman style game?
It's made by the Rayman team.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
well, shit. Now I'm excited to play it.
I wonder if Goofy's going to die in the middle of the game like he did in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Maybe.
That would be amazing.
Then you play as his nothing for the rest of the
There's
game.
nobody.
Yeah, there's nobody.
You're playing the Mickey Mouse illusion game, and the illusion like starts to like go away, and you realize you're in a Kingdom Hearts game.
Man, I was listening to Eric's episode on Kingdom Hearts when Goofy dies. I'm like, holy fuck! I completely forgot that Goofy fucking dies by getting his head crushed in by a fucking rock.
It'd be really funny if
And
he had
then-
started crying during the podcast.
And then
It'd be very goofy.
fucking Mickey, Donald, and Sora are fucking enraged by him dying, and they go take it out on a bunch of Heartless. And then he just wakes up like nothing happened. Then Donald starts beating him over the head with his cane.
Best game in the
Like, who
series.
the fuck wrote this shit?
Oh, you know who
same
wrote
people that
this
wrote
shit.
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh man,
Tetsuya Nomura wrote Rise of Skywalker.
They might as well have. There were no stakes at all.
Probably.
Yeah, it would actually make a lot of sense.
shit. Goofy fucking died and came back to life. He is Jesus.
They should make it like that.
I believe in Goofy.
You crucified
I believe in
Goofy at the end. He comes back after 3 days.
Instead of
Yeah.
amen, it's Gorsh.
Gosh. And the coins, our money now says, "In Goofy we trust."
Their money, though,
united under
M-U-N-N-Y.
Goofy. Yep. Oh man, fucking Goofy. So, final thoughts on Gears, so we can wrap this up.
It was fun.
It was fine. Like you said, like a 6.5, somewhere around there.
You
Not
could tell.
much better than that. Like middle of the road game. You could have fun playing it with friends. I don't think it'd be very fun single player.
You could tell there wasn't a lot to talk about because we talked about a lot of other stuff.
We did the same thing when we talked about Gears 3 last time,
Yeah,
about the trilogy. We talked about 3 games and we did the same shit.
I think we talked a decent amount of Gears in that, though.
Kind of. But,
Well,
What's that
when
happen
but yeah,
to?
Threk,
when we do 4 and 5, we'll try to stay on topic.
yes. They're probably going to be separate episodes. One for 4, one for 5.
Okay.
I don't know how long 5 is going to take us because isn't it an open world game?
No, it
I don't
has-
think so.
it has open world sections, like bits.
So it's
of
kind of
it are.
like God of War or something
like
like
God
that.
of
I
War.
think so. Yeah,
Where you move into sections and
I believe so.
then you play.
I'm
in
kind of
that
sick of
section.
that shit with games. I wish game developers would step away from that.
Hopefully,
I don't mind it because I kind of prefer it to a full out open world in some cases. How long to beats is 11 hours for Gears 5.
okay.
That's not too bad.
Like
Like what?
this Wolverine
Full
game
clip.
that's coming up from
Insomniac?
Insomniac. I don't think Wolverine works as an open world character, but I do
No.
think he would work in that God of War style where you are moving to open areas. You know, you're moving from open area to open area. But I honestly, best case scenario for me for that game would be they just make a straight up action game like a Ninja Gaiden Black
X-Men
or
Origins
something
Wolverine.
like that.
Just
you
do
know?
that again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which was
problem with that
itself
game
a
is
God
that
of
it
War
stayed-
clone.
Yeah, like it stayed way too long. Like I feel like God of War would be better, or I don't know. I was thinking of another game and I completely forgot about it.
Do like a Devil May Cry for Wolverine.
But like a linear, just a straight action game.
Character action game, yeah.
With like a little skill tree or something where you can unlock new moves or something like that, or buffer your health or something like that. But it doesn't need to have souls like things. It doesn't need to have gear. You don't, you know, it doesn't need to have any of that
Gear.
stuff.
Different-
Yeah, actually, you know what a
different
great
versions
example?
of adamantium.
You know what a great example of a game that would be perfect, a perfect model for how Wolverine should be is that Guardians of the Galaxy game. Like it should
Yes.
flow just like that game. You know,
Yes.
It might still
you
be
have
on
some-
sale.
You have some exploration
Let me
that you
check.
can do. Like the areas aren't necessarily open world, but you have some places you can move around, find collectibles, things like that. But it's constantly moving forward.
But you know what I heard about the Wolverine game today? Apparently, one of the Insomniac writers said they just started writing it.
Makes sense.
So we're probably not getting that game for quite a few years.
One thing that makes me
Oh,
excited
a
about
year or
it
two.
is the fact that the Spider-Man games have separated themselves from the continuity of the movies or the comics and kind of become their own thing.
Which is the way to go.
It just doesn't follow any of the existing stories, and I like that.
Yeah. Just the fact that you have Miles and Peter together at the same time is
In this new one, yeah, it's going to be great.
But it's not co-op, is it?
No.
Which feels like a missed opportunity.
I think that the narrative of this game wouldn't suit co-op, because if you're playing co-op, then when you're Spidey, you're missing Miles, because it's set up more like a GTA 5 thing where like you can freely switch back and forth between them, and they're in different parts of the city.
That works better.
Doing different things. And I think narratively it doesn't make sense to do co-op. If they had a co-op mode where you could play together like a combat arena or something like, or a free roam where you can just go around and mess around, I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Which I found out, apparently Devil May Cry 3 on the Switch has a online combat arena where you and somebody else can take down the tower challenge or whatever. It looked pretty sick.
But that's Nintendo Online.
I mean, it's Capcom too, so might be better.
I mean, yeah, but again,
it might be because Monster Hunter seems to run well on these.
That's true, but that probably came out after.
Right, but it's still Capcom.
True.
Yeah.
Well, Monster Hunter, the one before World that came out on Switch, was before Devil May Cry 3 remake, right?
Generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
a 3DS game?
That got up
remake.
Yeah, remake.
Oh yeah.
I'm not big into Monster Hunter. I've never.
I like the combat. It's everything in between that just doesn't do it for me.
It looks way too sweaty, so I'm not even going to try it.
I'll try it one day.
The monster hunting itself is fun, like killing the actual monsters. Then you get back to the town, and you're like, "Why is this town a town instead of just a menu?" Like you can't interact with anybody except for the people in the shops. So why isn't this just a menu?
Immersion.
Yeah. So Threk, you have anything else to say about Gears?
Gears Judgment was okay. Not the worst thing I've ever played, but it was much more fun co-op than single player. Which I feel like that's probably just what they should have went for, or like market it more as like a co-op game. But for being the worst game in the series that's not named Gears Pop, it's okay. Could have been worse. I know like Halo's like worst games are far worse than this, so.
Halo's just worse in general.
Oh boy.
Oh man, I'm picking fights. Anyways, yeah, I feel like it's a huge step down for the series. If I would have bought this game when it came out and played it, I probably would have been soured on the entire series. So I'm glad I didn't. I'm probably never going to replay this game again.
No.
It is a 6, and it's a very, very low 6, because I thought there was no way you could fuck up Gears of War. And they didn't fuck it up. It was just extremely mediocre.
They tried. They tried to fuck it up.
Just wait till a movie comes out. You'll see how they can fuck it up.
Oh, God.
I feel like a movie would be more entertaining than this.
I think the movie, it depends on the writing and the cast.
Yeah. Dave Bautista for Marcus Phoenix.
I just feel like
I can live with that.
Make a Gears movie, you just animate it.
I mean, that's how they fix Gantz. So
they should get Cliff to help out.
Though I say that, and then these animated Resident Evil movies are not good. So
they're entertaining at least. I can't wait for the new one. That movie just looked like it's going to be complete dog shit, and I can't wait.
They need to give up on Resident Evil movies. They don't work. They've never worked.
The new canon.
Resident Evil as a movie franchise doesn't work. In or a media franchise outside of games doesn't work.
At least with what they've tried to do, it just
because I'm going to tell you that I liked the trailer for that like Raccoon City one or whatever, the Welcome to Raccoon City or whatever. But it was really awful. Like, really, really awful. Worse than any of those Paul W.S. Anderson movies. It was so bad.
I bought the Paul W.S. Anderson series, like the whole thing on DVD. It was like $20 at Walmart, and I bought it just so that I could watch the last one. And that movie was so fucking bad. The rest of the movies are fucking Oscar worthy compared to that last one.
I don't think the first one. I don't think the first one's a bad movie. I think it's a bad Resident Evil movie, but I don't think it's that bad of an action movie. The first one. And then
I really liked the second one, and then the third one was I absolutely loved the third one because it just went so off the deep end that it was just great. But as
Tyrant with
Evil
his
movie,
bright blue eye.
Yeah, a fucking shooting zombies off from the Eiffel Tower in Vegas. That's fucking great. Blowing a hole in Mike Epps' head. So fun. But so that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for coming on, both you, Thrak and Burger Champ, and for suffering through this game. We got to find more of these shits to cover because this has been fun.
I mean, this is the threesome everyone wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Been a long time coming.
Ha 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 ha! See what you did there.
Hey, just wait till we talk about Yakuza when we do Infinite Wealth.
Oh.
That'll probably be like 5 hours or something.
Look for it.
It's gonna be
in
ridiculous.
2027.
Oh God.
It'll be like one of Dave's episodes.
We'll have to break it into 7 parts.
Well, I just listened to his episode on Hi-Fi Rush. That was a nice short episode.
Yeah, he has some that go for long. The one that I did with him for Eastward went on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got 2 hours out of Eastward, but we did.
I see episodes of Watch Out for Fireballs now, and some of them are like 3.5, 4.5 hours. Just like, I like those guys, but man, I can't listen to 3.5 hours about, I don't know. Their episode this week was 3.5 hours, and it was about their episode was 3.5 hours, and it's about Pentiment.
There's a lot.
That's something I'm not interested in.
I'll play it one of these days.
I listened to their episode last week because it was about Infernax, which is a game that I enjoy quite a bit, and they enjoyed it too. Mm-hmm. But that episode was almost 2 hours just on Infernax. I'm like, oof. Man, you could beat the game in under 2 hours if you really hustled.
All right, so do you guys have anything you want to plug before we end the show?
I have another podcast that I've recorded, should be coming out soon-ish. A couple of podcasts on the Polymedia Network. I was on an episode of Indie Quest talking about Chained Echoes. And nice. I was on a horror movie podcast called Split Up. And we're talking about horror musicals.
I listened to that Chained Echoes episode. That was good.
Thank you. That's a good game.
I have some podcast stuff in the works. I'm doing some stuff with Bill, Gaming and Collecting. We're doing 2 episodes on Sonic. We've already done 1, and we're scheduling the second one. And since you brought up Dave, I'm actually scheduling a episode of Tales of the Backlog with him. We're gonna do Wario World for the GameCube.
Nice, that's gonna be fun.
That's a great game.
I have it. Dave? Back there. So, but I'm gonna play it on Dolphin. Don't tell Nintendo I said that.
Don't let him know.
No. I own the game. I can do what I want. I own it.
So you played it on an HD TV on Dolphin.
I want to play it on 4K.
Using an Xbox controller.
Yeah, damn right. that great Series.
No ginormous A button.
That great Series X controller.
And you rewound a bunch of times.
No. Not with Wario World.
So it's a GameCube game. It's easy. So that's it for this week's episode. Just tell your friends about the Patreon, have them sign up and vote for the Backlog of Doom. And on top of that, listen to these episodes.
Give Chris money.
That's it for this. Yes, so that I can keep paying for my hosting site fees. So yeah, do you guys want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Wang.
Goodbye, everyone.